Injury for the game, Jimmy Garoppolo out, Ambry Thomas out. That's all we got. Go ahead.
Got me feeling pretty good about the state of the team going into this with that injury report.
Definitely. Yeah, we know who's playing, and we've got a number of guys back that we haven't had, so excited about it.
How did Greenlaw and Banks get through the week, and will there be any limitations on either of those guys?
Nope, full go. We had good practice yesterday. The other two have been walkthroughs, but they look good yesterday.
When you look at the forecast for Saturday, heavy rain, high winds, do you have like a contingency plan, a plan B, game plan? If it's really bad, we go to this. How do you handle that?
I mean, you got everything in the game plan for it to go anyway, not just because of weather, but whether you're struggling in any aspect too. So you always got that planned, and we know it's a big possibility. We'll see how it affects both sides, and we'll adjust accordingly.
I know that you guys are obviously significant favorites. There's a school of thought that like bad weather can be an equalizer. Do you get that? Do you think there's any credence to that?
Yeah, I always think bad weather slows the game down and equalizes stuff. But I mean, when it's one game, 3.5 hours in the playoffs, I look at all games as equal. I mean, I know we're favored, stuff like that. I know what people say, but this is the NFL and this is the playoffs. And last time we played them, came down to last possession. Expected to be the same.
So you always went with the quarterback in a wet situation. Obviously, you had a very rainy practice. How does Purdy look like he operates in the rain?
He did a good job. I did group install with the defense before, and he definitely did a lot better than me. I couldn't function at all. So it was definitely cool to watch him after, which it should be that way. But no, I think he's got some familiarity with it, just being where he played college football, and he had a good practice yesterday.
Been in games in some pretty severe weather this season kind of help a little bit because everybody kind of knows what to expect?
Yeah, I think it's good for guys to know what to expect, because some guys who aren't in it and they get surprised by it. If you're not ready for something mentally, and no one likes sitting in rain or like sitting up at Air Force when it was like 10 degrees. If you're not mentally prepared for that, it'll really mess you up. So going through it and seeing how it can mess you up, guys will be prepared for it, and they'll make sure it doesn't affect them going into it.
As far as D'Amico and his head coaching prospects, have you noticed him either asking you questions about being a head coach, or asking your opinions on things that are suggesting that he's thinking about that as a possibility?
Yes, but not more than usual. Lots of coaches are like that, and especially someone like D'Amico. But I mean, we talk every day about football, usually about lots of stuff, but we're always asking each other stuff and going back and forth with things, and not just him to me, but me to him too. So D'Amico's the same as he's always been.
This is a broad question, and obviously you've had a lot of experience watching your dad, but was there anything that surprised you or was difficult about going from coordinator to head coach?
I mean, stuff you always get told, so you think but then you actually feel it, and it is different. So it's more lonely. It's not as, I don't mean it like that way. I'm not soft like that, but you're more a loner. I mean, usually when you're a position coach, it's much easier to be tight with your players that you see every day in your little room. When you're a coordinator, it gets harder, but you're always with the offense and you're around coaches a lot more. But once you get the head coach, then someone's being real cool to you, then everyone's telling them they're kissing up, and so you end up just sitting there a lot, and no one wants to sit by you. Things like that kind of get a little bit different, but everyone tells you won't have as much time as a head coach to do your same routine. You don't believe it. You're like, no, that'll be all right, and you get into it and you realize everyone's right. There is other stuff that comes up that you didn't think about, just a lot more people that you have to talk to, and that does take time, so you got to rearrange how you do things and how you delegate, but that's all part of the process. And the main thing is, before you get that job, you really understand football, X's and O's, you understand players, and you understand the importance of how everyone works together.
You were in the middle of that long Falcons run before you got this job. Was it pretty easy for you at that time to kind of wall off the job versus, hearing about other teams or interviewing with other teams?
It was really easy for me. You never know until you get to it. We were very fortunate because we got a bye week. So just to have a whole week off where, you practice for a couple days, but the whole building gets about 3 days off just to get away for a little bit. And so I was able to schedule the interviews I had for the 2 days that we were off, so I could totally just focus on interviews for 2 days. And the only thing that I was frustrated with is that I really wanted to just relax and sleep and catch up at that time of the year. But it was a huge moment to go do those interviews and everything. And once those 2 days were over, that was a Friday and Saturday, and Sunday morning we were starting our preparation for Seattle. That week. We played them in the divisional round, and it was over. And then everything else was phone calls, which would happen here and there, not very much. And I got a little bit more towards the end. You got to have an idea of a staff and stuff if you know you're taking a job. But when it gets to the end, it's different because the end is a Super Bowl, and it's really easy to only think about that and not what's after that. So we'll see.
How do you feel about Christian McCaffrey winning the NFC Offensive Player of the Month and Brock Purdy, the Rookie Player of the Month?
I thought it was real cool for both of them. I think definitely well-deserved. It's blown my mind all year that Christian wasn't an All-Pro or first Pro Bowler. So at least he got recognized for Player of the Month. But he's been unbelievable for us, and I think he's been a lot more than just Player of the Month.
It seems like those two are very similar in how serious they take their job and their preparation. They're kind of the two peas in the pod.
Who's it? Brock and Christian? Yes. Yeah, they are similar in that. We got a lot of guys who fall into that category. But yes, they're both obsessed with detail of everything. There's, if they're not with us doing it, they're doing something else. But they're guys who think about football all the time, and it's not what have I done? It's what can I do going forward, and how can I do better.
George said yesterday that Christian maybe had a bit of a chip on his shoulder from not making the Pro Bowl, and he thinks it's made him play even better. Have you seen that from him?
I mean, I think he's gotten better and better each week for us. I thought his best week was last week, and not just by stats and results or anything, but just watching some of the things he's done, things he's improved at, and he came here doing pretty damn good also. So he's done that throughout. I think that was going to be regardless, but I'm sure that helps with some motivation to him too.
Brock took time out when Christian first got here to help him with the playbook and go through stuff. Did you see that happening? I mean, it sounded like Brock just did it on his own.
Yeah, I didn't see it. That's the stuff they do away from us, and that doesn't surprise me at all, though.
What do you think it helped Christian to come to a culture like you guys already have established, to be traded into this? You think it was a self-motivation, hey, or player accountability, or just kind of changing environments and being as successful as he's been?
I mean, watching him on tape, I know his family, but I never really knew Christian. I mean, I knew him when he was. I saw him when he was a young kid, so I knew his mom and dad, and so you think you have an idea, but you don't totally know. And we watched him on tape a lot, and I remember watching him on tape versus the Rams the week before he played us, and I'm like, this guy's style fits right in with us. I remember when we played the Rams a couple weeks after we got him. I remember showing the team some highlights from that game, and I showed him Christian, and like, see how he fits in, and the whole team could see it. And once he got here, just his work ethic, his personality, how important football is to him, his style of play. The players had a lot of respect for him before he got here because of what he's done, but the way he's handled himself just as a person and what he does in practice every day and what he's done on the field on Sunday, he's fit in great with everybody.
He was there was a 3rd and 6 play near in the red zone, and he ran like a short double move route. It looked like I know this is the idea for him, but it looked like a wide receiver. I mean, is that the fact that teams have to probably put a quarterback when he splits out, where sometimes they probably get away with a safety or something? I mean, is that an advantage he brings?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, that's what the advantage is for Debo when he's in the backfield too, because it's hard to put corners in there and play man coverage. So it's usually linebackers and safeties that go against running backs and tight ends, and it's hard to get enough corners on the field to guard 3 receivers and a tight end and a running back, and then still ever defend the run. That was planned for a linebacker, which he got the first time we played them. They moved a safety out on him that time, which makes it a little bit harder, but ran a hell of a route and then stepped back to the ball like a wideout would, and it was a huge 3rd down for us. All right, guys. Good weekend.